Good morning and happy Easter. My name's Amanda and welcome to my kitchen. I am going to go ahead and finish cooking what I need to cook for Easter. And I have to finish up with the ham, the deviled eggs, honey garlic glazed carrots, the scalloped cheesy potatoes, and the fruit dish. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we're going to start by making the honey garlic butter roasted carrots. And thankfully I already prepped my carrots the other day. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that. I have 9 cloves of garlic, and I'm going to split it between the recipes of honey garlic butter roasted carrots and the cheesy scalloped potatoes. I'm going to mince up the 9 cloves of garlic, and then at the end, once they're all minced, I am going to split them up into 2 sections, so that way I have some for one recipe and some for the other recipe. I thought by doing that it would save time and I would have less to clean up. This worked out perfect, dividing the 9 cloves of garlic into 2 for both recipes. I preheated the oven to 425 degrees for the carrots. While the oven's preheating, I'm going to grab a 1/3 cup of butter and I'm going to melt the butter in the pan, and I'm going to melt it at medium-high heat for the pan setting. Once the butter is melted, I am going to add 3 tablespoons of honey into it. Now you can spray your measuring spoon with pan spray, that way the honey glides right out. Once all 3 tablespoons of honey are in, you want to stir it until it's completely mixed in and melted with the butter. Still keep the pan on medium-high heat. Then add the garlic into the honey butter mixture and stir for 30 seconds. Now you don't want to brown the garlic, you just want to stir it. And then after 30 seconds, go ahead and add in the carrots and toss the carrots thoroughly in the sauce and season with salt. My son loves carrots a lot, and this recipe was a big hit with him and everyone else. While stirring the carrots in the sauce will thicken over time, and that is what you want. Once you have the carrots completely tossed in the sauce and it's thickened a little, then you're going to want to take a baking sheet and spray it with pan spray. You will then transfer the carrots to the baking dish and put in the oven for 20 minutes, and the temperature is 425 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start on the easy cheesy scalloped potatoes. The carrots are in the oven right now, so I'm going to go ahead and get those going. But before I do, I'm probably going to get this one a little snack. So see you guys in a bit. For the cheesy scalloped potatoes, you're going to want to spray a 9 by 13 baking dish with cooking spray. My 20-minute timer went off for the honey garlic butter roasted carrots. The carrots look beautiful and they are tender when touching with a fork. I am transferring the cooked carrots to this white bowl while my 2 oldest kids are running around so excited for everyone to come over for Easter. There's an Easter egg hunt set up out back, so they're really excited for that. I wanted to make sure that I got all the extra butter on the pan with the carrots. That way it'd have more flavor, more butter. It was really tasty. Now you can mince up fresh parsley and add on the top to garnish it, or you can just use dried parsley, and that's what I'm using for this recipe. My husband was a huge help. He actually peeled all the Yukon potatoes for me, and I'm cutting them to 1/8 of an inch. The recipe actually calls for 3 pounds of Yukon potatoes, but I actually used the entire 5-pound bag of Yukon Gold potatoes that I got.
Now that I am finally finished cutting all the potatoes, I am going to take 2 tablespoons of butter and heat it up in the pot. I have the pot on medium-low heat to melt the butter. While I'm waiting for the butter to melt, I'm going to go ahead and arrange half of the potatoes on the bottom of the baking dish that I sprayed with the pan spray. Once the butter is melted down, I am going to go ahead and add in the garlic that I already minced up earlier and add that into the pot, and I'm going to saute it for 30 seconds. You do not want to brown your garlic. My 7-month-old fell asleep on me while I was melting the butter and adding the garlic in. So I will be taking a break to put him down for a nap, and then I will continue the steps to the rest of the recipe. Now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of flour, and for this recipe I'm actually using gluten-free flour, so I can eat this recipe as well. You can use wheat flour if you want to. Now I'm going to go ahead and mix the flour into the butter garlic mixture. Then add 1.5 cups of milk and go ahead and mix it in. Then add 1 tablespoon of thyme. Next time I make this dish, I will actually not use thyme in it. I would actually prefer to use basil and parsley in this. So I would probably do half a tablespoon parsley and half a tablespoon basil. And I feel like that would be how I would really like to eat it. The dish was good, but I felt that the thyme was a little overpowering for it. Maybe I could have used less thyme and maybe that would have been better. In the meantime, while I kept that on medium-low, I decided I would go ahead and grate my 1.5 cups of shredded cheese. This is the cheese that I used. I used extra sharp cheddar cheese. I then brought my mixture to a boil. Once the mixture has thickened, you're going to want to remove it from the heat and then add in just a half cup of your cheese. Then you're going to want to stir it until it is smooth, or you can whisk it until it is smooth, but then set it aside until you're ready to use it. The potatoes we arranged earlier, you're going to want to take some salt and season them on top. Then take half of your mixture with the cheese, the butter, and the garlic and the thyme, and you're going to want to spread it on top. Then once you have half of your mixture spread on top of the potatoes, you're going to want to take half a cup of the shredded cheese that you shredded and place that on top as well. Then I took Parmesan cheese and then I added it to the top. I just used a shaker Parmesan cheese rather than getting a block of Parmesan cheese to shred. I already had that type of cheese on hand and just wanted to use that up. Now you're going to want to arrange the remaining potatoes that we have and then season with salt. And then pour the rest of the milk mixture over the potatoes that we had just arranged. Now we're going to take the other half of the cheese we shredded and we're going to place that on top evenly. And then we're going to place more Parmesan cheese on top. Now we're going to put it in the preheated oven that was at 400 degrees and we're going to bake it uncovered for 40 minutes. And we want to wait until the potatoes are nice and tender and the top is slightly browned. Now, because I used all the 5-pound bag of the Yukon Gold potatoes and my recipe only called for 3 pounds of it, I don't want to waste these extra potatoes. So I am just going to whip something up and use what I have left that's already been cut and peeled. So I'm just gonna spray some baking spray on the bottom of this baking dish that is an 8x8, and I'm gonna arrange the potatoes like I did in the first recipe. I am going to season with salt and then drizzle some olive oil over top of them. I'm gonna add parsley over top using dried parsley that I got from Costco. Now I'm going to use minced garlic and distribute it on top of the potato slices. I love using fresh garlic, but using this minced garlic is perfectly fine. Then going to arrange more potato slices on top. Then going to add some butter slices on top of the potatoes. Then going to drizzle more olive oil as well on top and some more parsley. And adding more minced garlic as well on top. Now I'm going to add shaker Parmesan cheese on top. Going to stick it in the oven at 400 degrees for 40 minutes until soft to the fork. I am now going to go ahead and start making the fruit dish. You need 1 cup of frozen strawberries, 1.5 cups of frozen pineapple chunks. You need 1.5 cups of frozen blueberries. You need 1 cup of frozen mango chunks. You need 1 cup of frozen cherries. You need 3 tablespoons of white sugar. And then go ahead and stir it. I'm actually holding my 7-month-old, so it's a little tricky stirring with one hand right now. Since the fruit is frozen, I'm going to go ahead and leave it out on the countertop so that way it can slowly thaw. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get the ham ready that I got from Costco. That is a Kirkland brand, and just follow directions accordingly to the package. I took pan spray to the roasting pan. That way when I go to wash everything up, it'll be a lot easier just to clean it. Nothing will be really sticking to it. I went with a 9.5-pound ham. I cover the ham with aluminum foil, and I'm gonna bake it for a good 2 hours and 15 to 30 minutes. I will definitely check on it when it gets closer to that time. Now you don't want to overcook your ham because you don't want dry ham. I checked on the easy cheesy scalloped potatoes, and they definitely needed a little bit longer time. I wanted them to have that nice brown crisp top to it. The easy cheesy scalloped potatoes were ready. I left them in for a good 43 minutes till the tops were a nice crispy brown color, like a golden color. I also pulled out the other Yukon Gold potato dish that I made, and I finished them up in the gourmet oven so that way they would cook for a total of 43 minutes as well. On your ham package, that way it has all the correct temperature settings you need to go by and for how long per pound, so definitely follow the directions on your ham package. Now that the ham is in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and start slowly cracking these eggs and getting them ready for making deviled eggs. And doing the white vinegar in the water when I boiled the eggs the other day, this actually worked out super well, and the eggshells came off perfectly. It was so easy. It's 1 tablespoon of white vinegar per 4 cups of water. And I have it in my previous video of Easter prep part 2. You can check it out, how I boiled the eggs. Deviled eggs do not last long at all in my house, so I definitely decided to make more than I needed, but that's okay. They will definitely be eaten up. After every time I deshell an egg, I rinse it under cold water. That way it gets any little sharp egg shards off of it. When I cut the eggs in half, I make sure that I use a knife that does not have any jagged edges on it. That way I get a nice clean cut across the top of the egg. So when you see it upright, it's not all jagged. cut the eggs in half. I put the egg yolks in the clear bowl and the other half on the egg dish. That way I get like an assembly going for getting this done. I have an exact recipe for this deviled egg dish. I've been making it for years. It's pretty simple. It's just mayonnaise, mustard, and salt. So far, I have a cup of mayonnaise and 1 tablespoon of mustard, and then like about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Mixer, and I'm going to push down the mayonnaise into the egg so that way my egg yolks don't go flying everywhere before I turn the mixer on. So I'm just mashing them, and then I'll turn it on to a low and go ahead and mix the egg yolks, the mayonnaise, the mustard, and the salt together. If I don't have any bigger egg yolk chunks, I will then turn the mixer up to a higher setting so that way I can get it into like a nice creamy consistency. And yes, I am adding more mayonnaise to this recipe. I am adding a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise and 2 teaspoons of yellow mustard as well. The taste still was not there that I wanted it to be, so I added another tablespoon of yellow mustard. I then added also another 1/4 of a cup of mayonnaise, and I'm going to go ahead and mix that in as well. I'm going to blend it until it's nice and smooth and there are no more chunks in it, and I also added more salt to taste. I took a spoon and I did a taste test of it, and it was just right how I definitely wanted it to taste. So now it's time to start scooping in the egg yolk mixture with mayonnaise and mustard into my eggs and get it going. I poured some paprika into my hand so that way I could sprinkle over top and garnish the eggs. Now, I know it seems like I use a lot of mayonnaise and mustard, but remember, I did 20 eggs. So that made 40 total deviled eggs. So that's quite a bit of egg yolk. So that portion of using mayonnaise to mustard with the eggs was just right for how I like to make my deviled eggs. The ham is now done and it's been in the oven for 2 hours and 10 minutes. I am pulling it out so that way I can heat the oven up to the direction it says so I can do the glaze for the ham. Family members are starting to come over and Easter dinner is about to be served. So it's just now just getting the ham done with the glaze and we should all be set. I am using the glaze packet that came with the ham that I got from Costco. I'm just following the directions to make it, and then I'm just gonna boil this up and then put it on top of the ham and put the ham back in the oven. Again, follow the directions if you get a ham like this from Costco. It is very tasty. Everyone really liked it. While the glaze is getting to a boil, I am removing the aluminum foil so I can get it ready for once the glaze is ready to pour on top. The glaze is ready and I'm going to go ahead and pour it all over the ham, and then I'm going to put the ham back in the oven. I forgot to mention, but when I had the ham in the oven earlier cooking for the 2 hours and I had the other set of the potatoes finishing up in the gourmet oven, and once they were done, I then put the spinach ricotta stuffed shells in the oven and I cooked them for 25 minutes with aluminum foil over top. And then I took the aluminum foil off and I cooked it for another 10 to 15 minutes. I then sprinkled mozzarella cheese on top while it was warm. Now that I'm getting the ham back in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and pull the other dishes out and start getting them heated up. The ham is finally done and I was able to heat everything up between the microwave and using my other gourmet oven. It's really nice having that so I can heat other things up. Here's how I had it decorated for my son's birthday party and for Easter dinner. I combined it both into one day because my son's birthday was really close to Easter. So why not put it all together for one day? Everything turned out great. The food was great. It was great having great company to celebrate this day. Celebrating my son's birthday and Easter was a blast. All the food was really good. It was great seeing everyone and glad that everyone enjoyed everything that I made. And it was really nice getting everything done in the 3 days and how I organized it. So thank you for watching, and I hope you had a wonderful Easter.